Hello, I'm Mickey Bamboo, and welcome back to Panda Paws. We've had a few comic artists on this show before, but this week we bring in the illustrator and noted furry comic artist and writer, Scappo. From his newest comic Skin Deep, a part of his amazing Waystones series, to A Long Way Down, let's bring this great artist into the studio. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm just glad I pronounced it right this time and did not say what I want to say, what was popping into my head, thanks to you.
Yeah, a lot of people like to throw that R in there.
So let's start it off by asking you, how did you get the name, since you were just telling me that there is a story to that?
Okay, Scappo. Now, I've had this nickname ever since I was in the 8th grade, and I have no idea what that would translate to in the US or anywhere else. But I think we were like maybe, 12, 13 years old. Anyway, so this is round about, when stuff like Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament and, Diablo and StarCraft, all those games were coming out. Okay, and me and my friends, we were, really getting into it, and we realized that it's probably not a good idea to use our real names as handles,
Really?
Yeah.
I can understand that. So, it was an online name that you used.
Yeah, so, like, my buddy Shay, he came up with the name Cappo, C-A-P-P-O, because, he could, cap any of us easily. He was the best of the three, okay? And then my other buddy, Tivon, he wanted to be, some bizarro world version of Cappo, so he went for Cappo with a K, K-A-P-P-O.
As you do.
As you do, and I think that's something in Japanese as well. I don't know, whatever.
There's the Kappa.
Kappa, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know about Capo, but yeah.
It might be a playoff of Kappa, I don't know. But, so yeah, that happened, and I'm like, well, I want to be Super Capo, right? And you gotta remember, we were 12 at this point. We're kids. So, we went on like that for a while, and, depending on the game, it'll only let you have so many characters in your username.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the games that didn't allow as many characters, I would shorten it to S.Capo, so like super.capo. And then some games don't allow you to use periods in your username. So, it just eventually got squeezed into Scappo, and the name just kind of stuck.
And go on. I said go on.
Yeah, so, later on, years down the line, I'm at my first MFF in Chicago, and I'm sitting next to Gunmouth in the artist alley, and I wasn't selling anything. And, we were just sitting there talking, having a good time, and the con staff came along and they said, listen, you can't sit here unless you're selling something. So I'm like, oh, geez, oh, God, I suck as an artist, and back then I truly did suck. But I'm like, if I just sell, $2 sketches, then they'll let me stay here. And so I did it, and I'm like, well, what name am I going to use? Yeah, shit, I don't have an artist name. I guess I'll just use my gaming handle, and I'll just go with that. And again, the name just kind of stuck. I couldn't change the name now if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's some of the things that a lot of people find out, that they might put a name just for fun and it just sticks and they're like, oh God.
I'm stuck with it forever.
Well, Modem, you know who Modem Red Pill is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he if you heard, his story is from, he was very, very big into the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Hence Red Pill.
Yeah, oh jeez. He took the red pill.
Yeah.
And now he's stuck with that name.
Yeah, so, as I said, the name stories are some of my favorite stories that I get to listen to. But, did you know about furries at that time, or did that come later?
At which time are you talking about?
When you developed the Scappo name.
Oh, way back in the day? Oh no, that was way back when I was in high school, and that's interesting because you know when you go over 30, your memory starts to get hazy.
Oh, you're over 30 now?
Yep. Cool tips, kids. So let's see. That was probably back in the 90s. You know what? I didn't know about the fandom. Okay, but well, we're going to answer another question that you were probably going to ask in a minute. This is going into how did I get into the fandom? Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know if you remember or if any of the listeners will remember this cartoon, but Road Rovers.
Oh yes, Road Rovers. Colleen. Yep.
Blitz and Hunter.
Blitz, Hunter.
Shag and all
Exile.
them. Yep.
Yep, I watched. I just turned 30 this year, so yeah, the 90s were my time.
They were your bag.
They were my bag.
So, I used to watch Road Rovers back in the 90s, and, you know, of course I fell in love with the characters, and it was so cheesy and camp. Like, I can't watch it these days because it's just too bad.
It's weird because, yeah, it did have that really cheesiness, but at the same time, so did Freakazoid, but Freakazoid is still watchable.
Well, Freakazoid's watchable just because, yes, it's cheesy and it's camp, but it knows about its own cheesiness.
Well, so did
All right.
Roadverse to a certain extent, but...
Gee, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just... Road Rovers, I tried to watch it the other day, and it just makes me cringe, and I'm like, oh god, what made them think that joke was funny?
And it was funny as a kid.
It was funny as a kid, and Freakazoid has the same kind of humor as, I would say, Animaniacs, where...
Well, it was done by the same company.
Exactly, and it's reaching above the age range of the children into kind of, you know, the adults, so the adults will find it funny too, right? So that's why I liked Freakazoid as well, and why it's, you know, stayed so relatable over the years.
Freakazoid was so underrated at its time, but it was also, like, only on, CW at the time, so...
Yeah. See, I remember when it was Kids WB.
Yep, Kids WB.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
The
God.
good old days.
Back with Pokemon and...
Oh, yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And then they started coming up with stuff like Sonic X and all that stuff, and
No, I stopped around there. I mean, I saw a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, but after that I was like, nah, I'm done.
I used to love Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it had Egyptian shit in it.
Well, judging from your comics...
Well, yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Wow, we got off topic.
We segued. Warning, when you're with me, you're going to segue a lot.
No, I love that. I'm all about the segueing, or I'm all about the tangents. But
Yeah.
So back to... Okay, Road Rovers was in there somewhere.
Yes. That was how I got into the fandom. And after Road Rovers, I wanted to see more after the series suddenly stopped, and any fan of the show will remember when it stopped. And I was like, well, I want to see more. So, I went online, did the Google for Road Rovers fan art, and I found my way to a site called Silabub.com.
That's one I've never heard of.
It's an oldie. Kylan Christine Miles is the artist for that website, and I'm not even sure if it's still up. It probably isn't. But she had basically a Road Rovers fan art site, and it was from there I found my way to VCL.
Yeah, that's the one that I know.
Yes, there we go. So I'm catching up, and from VCL to Sheezy Art, and I had an account on Sheezy Art for maybe all of a month before.
I was going to say before the whole furry
Everything
exodus.
Yes, and then for Affinity finally. Yeah. So that's roughly my journey into.
Oh, those Road Rovers.
Oh, those
God,
Road Rovers.
it's sometimes it's one of the ones that I do hear not as often, but Road Rovers, SWAT Cats I hear more.
SWAT Cats was good. It's just it was a bit too dark for my younger tastes. These days it's awesome. I look at it and I'm like, this is fucking great, right?
Yeah.
But back then I was less into it because it had a darker, edgier feel to it.
But it wasn't like the '90s Edge where it did have it almost was very close to a little bit more like the Batman the animated series and stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely it also had it had more comedy obviously, but it did have a very dark, very sort of twisted storyline in some aspects.
Yeah. So, and also, I'm not sure if, oh Jesus, it's Jake and, what was the other one's name?
Okay, I know it's T-Bone and
T-Bone and
Razor.
Wasn't it Jake? Razor, there we go.
It was Jake something, Jake and, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember either. But anyway, I wasn't as into their designs as I was into the Road Rovers designs. Maybe it's just because they're canines. I don't know. But
yeah. So go ahead.
I mean, I enjoyed that as much as I could back in the day, but I didn't enjoy it as much as Road Rovers.
Yeah. Yeah. So Road Rovers got another one. But you told me before you don't consider yourself a furry as much as you consider yourself a furry artist and a fan.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I don't consider myself a furry insofar as, you know, like I don't get into the whole culture of it. Like, you know, like I guess I don't consider myself to be an actual animal in a human skin.
You're not a lifestylist.
I'm not a lifestyler, no. And actually, fursuits have always scared me slightly.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's the disconnect. Like you don't know who's in there, and I've had some genuinely creepy experiences with fursuits.
So I'm assuming that you are not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, not at all. I watched Blue Doodles. I think it was Blue Doodles or Spirit Raptor play when I was down in Plymouth, and I couldn't watch more than maybe, you know, 10 or 20 minutes. I was like, nope, I'm out of here. I can't do it. It's like this game was made specifically to scare me. So yeah, no, I'm out of here.
But yeah, you have gone to a lot of cons, though. You were even mentioning earlier that you just pulled your name out at your was it your first MFF?
Yeah. I have since not. Well, I've gone to a few more MFFs, but I haven't gone in the last couple of years because the last time I went was when they had that weird kind of gas thing happen in the stairwell.
Yeah, I heard the mustard gas thing.
It was, oh god, it was probably, I heard a story that it was probably like some latex furs and they spilled one of the chemicals in the stairway. So that makes sense to me, and that's going to be the story that I think is true.
So you're just going with the story about the latex then?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's probably the one that's true. It's the one that makes the most sense. But, so yeah, I haven't been to MFF since because, I mean, Jesus, the hotel put us outside when that happened, and what really irritated me is that the hotel didn't have any contingency plans to protect its guests from the elements. They just kind of put everyone out in the parking lot. Ooh. And like you had you had people out there. They literally had nothing on. Like I saw one guy wrapped in a sheet, the poor bastard, and just nothing else. And I'm like, you know, people are going to start getting hypothermia. We've been out here for hours. Like,
really?
Yeah, we were out there for quite some time, like at least an hour, I would say 2, before they stuck us in the garage, finally. Because, I mean, we were getting so desperate that we were, like, piling into the stairwells for the parking lot.
Well,
And
seriously, this was in the winter too, wasn't it?
this was in December, I'm fairly sure.
Ugh.
And I luckily had on, I didn't have on my coat because they wouldn't let me back into my room to fetch my coat. All right, but, I still had a shirt on, and the shirt was okay, but I was still freezing my nuts off. And luckily I had a bottle of whiskey with me. Go figure, I've got whiskey with me, but not a coat. So we were down in the parking lot. We were all drinking whiskey to stay warm.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that was nuts. I'm actually shocked I didn't get sick at that convention because we were out there for a long time. But after that, I was like, I'm not coming back to this friggin' convention because every single year I go, somebody pulls that goddamn fire alarm, and it's not funny anymore.
Do you think it's the guests or do you think it's like some person who hates the furs, or?
Well, that particular time, it was just some person who spilled their friggin' junk in the stairwell. But most of the time, it's some idiot that thinks it's funny. Like, you get these furries that, they leave their parents' basement and they don't know how to behave in public.
Yeah.
Or they get drunk and they're like, hee, look at me, I'm going to pull the fire alarm.
Which, it's just funny because the furs who are the basement dwellers, as they were, are actually much of a minority, I've been finding.
Yeah, I mean, most furries are fine. There's a reason I'm here. I've worked with the worst of humanity for several years, and the furries do not even come close. A lot of people like to give furries a lot of flack, but really, they're a bunch of good people.
Yeah, I mean, I did a whole episode on a retrospective of the furry fandom and the good that it's done with friends like Don Ryu, Ivy Beth, Connor Kuhn, and Shenanigan, and they all told stories about how it's changed their lives in positive ways.
Yeah. I mean, there's a camaraderie here that, there's very few other places you can find it. Because it's very comforting to know that there's someone out here just as messed up as you are.
Well, it truly is a completely a fandom that everything is made by the fans. I mean, this isn't like Star Wars fandom or My Little Pony or the Bronies, because they all have like something to base their stuff on. The furry fandom is completely homegrown.
Yeah. A lot of the properties here are homegrown, and that's something to be proud of.
Yeah. But let's move on now to your actual work. You have been drawing for quite a few years now. As you've told me, you're self-taught, right?
Yes, I am.
And you've done a numerous amount of comics during your time. And specifically, a lot of, as you've mentioned before, you're a fan of Egyptian art and culture. So,
yeah.
Which one do you want to start on? Do you want to start on the first comic you worked on, or do you want to start on Waystone? Why did I think of Wayfarer? That's another series somewhere, but do you want to talk about Waystone, or where do you want to start?
Let's see. I mean, I've done a lot of comics, and like a few of them, are on sexyfur.com, and they don't really have any continuity. I guess we can talk about Waystone, because those are the only ones with continuity, which I can actually talk about beyond what's already there.
Not to mention, one of the side stories just came out, Skin Deep.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Waystone. I know you worked with someone else on it, and
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just going to sit back. Tell me about its conception, how it came together, and where it's going from here.
Well, let's see. Well, the person that you were thinking of, that I've been working with on it, well, there are several people that have contributed to it. I mean, Bonk has done some designs for it, and, I've had help from tons of my friends and input from tons of my friends, which I'm extremely grateful for. But let's see, where did it come from? Fans of my work will know of my character Sanaya, who is a blue jackaless with an omega symbol on her back. And to be quite frank, I don't know where she came from initially. I still have the first image of her that I drew, and I don't know, maybe I just used that blue because, blue is my favorite color, but incidentally, it's the exact same blue that Luna is colored as. And that's
Which
really
Luna?
just a coincidence. My Little Pony, Luna.
That's what I was figuring.
Because, well, I'm not going to segue on that. I can go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, so, Sanaya, I wanted to tell a story involving her, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I kept procrastinating, and I kept pushing it, back, and just, like, I've got notes that go as far back as I'd say 2006 when I was staying in Canada, and I was, asking my friends that live in Calgary, what do you think of this comic idea? What kind of characters should I use, so on and so forth. And only recently have I started actually working in that world.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to jump right into Sanaya's story. Well, A, because I'm too much of a chicken, and B, I haven't fully figured it out yet. So I'm like, well, if I'm not going to jump right into Sanaya, I need to start really close to her so that I can work my way into her. And I was like, okay, well...
That's what she said? I'm sorry.
God damn it. You couldn't resist, could you?
I couldn't resist. You left it out there.
I walked right into it. I did.
Walked right into it. Or right into her.
Stop. Anyway, I needed a character to kind of get me close to Sanaya. And that character is her mother, Nyla. And so, I guess that's where Skin Deep came from. And where we're going from Skin Deep is we're going to explore how Sanaya reacts to what she's just seen in the joining chamber. Because, seeing someone die is never easy, And at this point, Sanaya is about 20, so she's fairly young. And, I'm going to use this whole situation to introduce us to her character and to tell the story of how the heck she is that shade of blue. Because I'm always careful of coloring my characters strange colors for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about we start off with the question of what is the story of Waystone in Skin Deep? Because you're giving off stuff that's happening, but let's talk about the characters and the story first.
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but
yeah, I know, I understand that completely.
Well, the initial idea behind the world is, what if these gods that we've made up actually were, here, like, among us, okay, and if they could actually affect change in the world, what would they, do if they saw some of the atrocities that we commit, upon one another? Would they intervene? Would they choose not to intervene? And why? The story that I would like to tell is, maybe there's a reason why the gods don't do anything, I would love to tell a story where, we see a god or we see gods trying to make things better, but in the process of trying to make things better, they only make things worse, okay? And they end up realizing that, there's nothing we can do to make this better. With all of our power, all of our strength, all of our control over the elements, we can't do anything to make these people better, or to make them treat one another better, or to make this world better. So it's better if we just back off and let them take care of it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, you get, atheists that are just angry at the heavens, Okay, and then you get Christians that are like, God, where are you? And I'm sure people from, all religions are wondering, we look at the world today and it's
Is this God's will, or is
is
just
this
God
God's will? I mean,
giving us free will?
exactly. So that's the kind of world that I wanted to build. That's the kind of questions that I'd like people to ask themselves, although that's difficult when I have to, when I'm spinning porn into these pages. It's actually quite tough, and I'm still kind of working my way through it. I'm not even sure if I'm exactly. It's a balancing act because people want porn, right?
Porn does sell.
Porn does sell, but I also would love to tell a story that people care about. And that's what the platform of Waystone is meant to do.
And what does Skin's story specifically talk about?
Skin Deep story?
Skin Deep, yeah.
Well, I mean, Skin Deep kind of introduces us to the character of Nyla, who is Sanaya's mother, and the symbiotic, some would say symbiotic, some would say parasitic relationship she has with her genie, Kebron. And really, what I kind of wanted to get across with Nyla is, yes, she's very hard-nosed, and she's, she can seem cold, but there's a reason behind her harshness that I'm not going to reveal quite yet, but, I wanted to show that, Nyla goes through struggles of her own. She seemed to walk away from what happened in the joining chamber, and she wasn't even affected, but she was affected. She's just better at hiding it.
So that's going to be stuff that you're going to be seeing in the near future.
Oh, we'll be seeing more of Nyla, definitely.
Awesome.
I like her too much to make her fade into the background.
Now, Waystone is a multi-part story, and the Skin Deep storyline is all of you. Is written and drawn by you personally, correct?
Yes.
Now, do you have any favorite stories so far that you've written in this series or any other series, or?
Well, Skin Deep is my favorite story so far. But Pride in Your Work is a close second. I actually really enjoyed working on Pride in Your Work because it was something. It was slightly different from what I usually work on because, it had a ladyboy in it, and that was the first comic that I did with a ladyboy in it, and B, I really like the characters of Jasper and Kayla. Because Jasper is, again, he's not serious, but he's very, professional. I'm working, leave me alone. And Kayla is always pulling pranks on him. And, I've been meaning to draw more art of Kayla, pulling silly little pranks on Jasper. Just because she likes to see his reactions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, both of these series, well, you've got... I don't even know how many comics you've done altogether. Definitely.
Oh dear.
Are some of these issues available for sale currently, or?
Well, yeah. You can get Skin Deep in HD and Pride in Your Work in HD, and also A Long Way Down in HD. I don't want to talk about A Long Way Down in a minute.
Okay. We'll talk about where you can get them at the end of this show.
Yeah.
But, okay. Now, you were actually said you were going to move on to A Long Way Down. What's that?
A Long Way Down. Oh, boy. So, there is a story behind A Long Way Down.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Where do I even begin? Okay, A Long Way Down started as a Sexy Fur project. I used to work with sexyfur.com. Mm-hmm. And originally, A Long Way Down was an attempt to merge Jeremy Bernal's character Dawn and kind of put her in a situation where she's made to face off with Gunmouth's character Mara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then there's my own character Fib in there, who's a genie. Okay, and that was supposed to be the initial kind of foray into the world of Waystone. And halfway through, not even halfway through, I think like maybe 9 or 10 pages through, a long way down, I left Sexy Fur. And I'm like, well, I can't keep doing this comic for Sexy Fur because I'm not working with them anymore. And I can't just leave it hanging because, well, I've come this far. So I had to go back. I had to buy the rights to the pages from Bernal and kind of restart the comic on my Patreon. Mm-hmm. And now, now I've got to find a way to finish this comic and actually kind of finish it, because I didn't really want to use Dawn in Waystone anymore, mm-hmm. because she's not my character. Okay? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get confused as to the second half of it, like where we get into all the weird stuff that happens. And that was because of a favor, a huge favor that I owed Gunmouth. He actually provided me with a figurine that you cannot get this thing anymore. Like, they just don't sell it.
What is it?
It's a little Freya figurine. Freya Crescent.
From Final Fantasy?
From Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, the mouse?
Yeah, the mouse. Mm-hmm. And I looked high and low for this stupid thing, and I could not find it. And he happened to have a spare, alright? And the thing about the spare was he couldn't find her tail. And I'm like, well, screw the tail, I don't care. That's what he said, no. So I didn't care about the tail, all I wanted was the figurine. And he's like, well, I'll give you the figurine if you do me some Mara art. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, no problem. And so that's where, the second part of that comic came from, okay? Mm-hmm. So that was weird. That was weird for me, but, at the end of the day, I got my way to, write both Mara and Dawn out of the Waystone universe, and now I'm left over with Fib, who we will be seeing more of eventually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where is Waystone going from here? Because I know you wanted to talk about that.
Well, I definitely want to tell the story of how Sanaya gets turned blue, and I know how she gets turned blue. All I have to do is tell the story. I want to get her out into the world and, dealing with the situation in her world, because kind of her background is that she's too scared, really, to, like, enter the world and to find her own way. And if you think about it, she's kind of got rich kid syndrome. Okay, because her mother is, a prefect. She's very powerful. And Sanaya can just kind of sit in that garage, or, in that basement. In that not in the basement, but, she works in a shipyard. Okay? And she can just basically sit in that shipyard and she can just fix things to her heart's content. And she doesn't really need to challenge herself further than that. But her mother is intent on getting her out of that shipyard and, getting her to be something more than, well, a mechanic, pretty much.
So, what does her mother have a particular plan for her? Or does she just know that Shania has a bigger destiny than...
Well, I wouldn't say that Nyla is clairvoyant in that manner, where she knows the future and she knows Sanaya has a destiny. But I think, like any mother, she wants to see Sanaya do the best she possibly can, and she doesn't want to see her daughter kind of languish away, underneath some gears in a shipyard, So it's kind of like, just imagine, I don't know, the president. If the president had a son, and if his son was a mechanic, he'd want his son to be a little bit more than a mechanic. So, I mean, I know some would argue, just let her do what the hell she wants, but, Nyla just wants what's best for her daughter, and she doesn't want her daughter to suffer in the same way she did in her youth, eventually.
Plus, it's a story, and just dealing with a mechanic who just works as a mechanic all day. I mean, it can be nice for a slice of life sort of story, but I don't think for a story that you want to tell.
No, it's not. It's not really going to work. I mean, the fact that she has that skill is going to come in handy. It's going to ground her, but it's not the beginning and the end.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we haven't talked about before we move on to some of the more real life stuff, your avatar. I was going to talk about this earlier, but I got sidetracked because we got off on tangents and talking about your awesome Waystone comic. But let's talk about your personal avatar. I assume you don't consider him a fursona?
Well, he's kind of like just, I guess he's a fursona, I guess so. He was designed by Lady Snakebite, for which I'm very grateful. And yeah, his name's Kabira, and he's a puma that wears headphones, and he kind of looks like me. Yeah, I like him. He's a good character.
Awesome. So, yeah, but let's move on to some more real life stuff. As we've found out, you learned you were self-taught in art.
Yeah.
But you did go to college.
Yeah.
But not for art.
No. I went to college initially to... Well, you know what? I thought the program was, there to teach me how to be a network engineer. And it turns out that it was heavier in coding than it was in networking. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, well, this is not what I came here for. But, I'm gonna give it a good old go anyway, as long as I'm here. And boy, oh boy, I think those were probably some of the toughest years of my life. I had never slept under a desk before until those years. Computer systems technology in Red Deer College. When you went into the program, they actually told you, listen, this program has a dropout rate of about 80%. And, people do crack in this program. It's tough. And I was like, it's fine. I had just come off the back of being a cop, right? So I'm like, I can handle this. If I can handle murderers and rapists,
Wait,
I can
you
handle
were a
a little
cop?
bit of code. Yeah.
You've done a little bit of everything.
I've done a good bit of stuff. I mean, I've been a cop and I was a soldier for a few years as well. But that wasn't by choice. I was actually conscripted. Because Bermuda still has conscription.
Ah.
So I did that for a while, and then I went into the cops because I got tired of the army. And the cops count too, because it's a uniformed service. But the downside is if you don't complete your service in one uniformed unit and you start somewhere else, you have the clock starts over again.
Okay, so if you would have just started as a cop.
If I would have just started as a cop, I would have, just did my 3 years and, I would have gotten out. But since I switched over in the middle of my military service, they restarted the clock. So, and it was fine. I enjoyed my time as a cop. But, I mean, getting back to the original topic, I came off the back of that and I'm feeling pretty bulletproof. I'm like, I can handle some code. It's fine. And oh boy, could I not hack it. It
Pun
was
intended?
tough. You know what? Sure. Take it. Pun intended, I could not hack it. Yeah, but the thing is, at least I know I was not the only one. I mean, I had seen grown men cry, but not like this. It was pretty intense, and I remember my buddy Carlos. He was living in Calgary at the time, and he is he's a really good coder, and I was getting him to help me with my homework, and I remember it as clear as if it was yesterday. And he looked at me and he said, listen, I can help you with your homework all you want, but you're not enjoying this. I can tell. And I'm like, yeah, but I've come this far. I may as well finish. And he's like, listen, I'm good at this. Okay, like my brain was built for this. Sometimes I wish it wasn't, but it was. Your brain was not built for this. And even if you do pass, even if you do, get this diploma or this degree, you will only ever be a slightly average coder. And that's not going to end up in a good future for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he's like, I really think you should try and find something else to do, because this is not what you're good at. And I remember I went home from that, and I was really angry, and I was like, what the fuck, such an asshole. I'm trying my hardest here. And, in a couple of days I cooled down, and I was like, you know what? He's right. I'm not having any fun here. I'm stressing myself out, and I'm tired all the time, and I fucking hate my life. And why am I doing this if I don't enjoy it? So, yeah, that's when I decided to drop out of that program, become part of the 80%, and I just drew for the rest of the time I was there, really.
And you went on to be a comic artist.
Yeah, exactly. Seems to have worked.
So, is this pretty much your life now? Do you just draw all the time?
Yes. Drawing has consumed me, body and soul.
But do you enjoy it?
Oh, yes. Sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it's like, oh, God, you just have a bad day, or you just have an off day. Like yesterday, I had a pretty off day. Like, I just could not draw to save my life. And I'm like, what the frick is wrong with me? But, I've actually sat here and, really thought hard. Listen, if I could be doing anything else, what would I be doing? And I can't come up with anything else. I don't know if that's sad or if it's just really great. I don't know. But I love what I do, and I can't see myself doing anything else. And I don't really want to do anything else. Not right now. I want to tell this story.
And I can't wait to see you finish the story.
Thank you.
Let's see. So, when you're not drawing, and drawing, and drawing...
and drawing, and drawing...
what do you like to do?
Well, I like to travel. I like to go around and visit my friends when I can. One of the great things about having traveled around a lot is I've made a lot of friends in a lot of areas of the planet. And one of the sucky things about that is that my friends are all over the planet. So it's expensive to go and hang out with everyone. And yeah, it's even worse now because geez, I've lived in Canada, okay, and I've lived in Atlanta. And I've lived in Bermuda, obviously, because I'm from there. And now I live in the UK. And I've lived in several places in each country. And in each place, I made friends. So it's like, yay, I have lots of friends. Oh, damn it. It's really expensive to visit these people.
Where's been your favorite place to live so far? Or at least your favorite place to visit?
Oh, that's not fair.
You had to know that was coming.
It's really hard to say. I love Atlanta. Atlanta's great. Okay. It's weird because in the process of moving forward with, their lives, it's like, like the situation in Atlanta, or the living situation in Atlanta has changed. Mm-hmm. And, I'm happy for my friends, and they're moving on, and they have their own lives, but I miss Atlanta the way it used to be. I still like going there, and I still like visiting, but it's not the same.
There was, yeah,
You know how it is.
Yeah, it's like there was a certain time in your life where everything was perfect. At least it worked.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not as though it's not perfect.
Good.
It's just it's different. It's
Yep.
different. I do love Atlanta though. I still love visiting there when I can. I've actually come to really love being in the UK. A lot of people, like when I said I'm moving to the UK, they're like, "Why would you move somewhere that's so depressing and it doesn't get any sunlight?" And well, one thing I found is that it does get plenty of sunlight. I don't know where all these stories of, rainy, dreary London come from, because London is actually sunny for most of the year. Especially during the summer. It's like during the summer, it's like, you're like, okay, when's it gonna rain? Because it's bloody hot out. But I love being in London. It's a great city to be in. There's a lot of people here. That's the only complaint. I know it sounds silly, but geez, there's a lot of people here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love London, and I like Germany a lot as well. Germany's great. Berlin's great. Berlin's fun.
Okay. Now, before we get on to the last 10 questions, the Inside the Actor Studio questions I always ask, you have a lot of things that you have for sale.
Yeah. Well, I'd say I have a decent amount of stuff.
Yep. Let's start off with your Patreon. Now, what is that for specifically?
The Patreon is meant to fund Waystone, all the stories that are going to go into Waystone. Just so people don't actually have to sit there and wait for me to crank out, 20 to 30 pages. They can actually go and become a patron and watch it as it's being made, with the thumbnails and all the process stuff, and on occasion they can even have, some input. Like I'll ask them, what do you think, or what do you think should happen now, so on and so forth.
And what do you get for donating?
Well, at the $2 tier, you get access to like my full sketch blog, which I don't post anywhere else. Like on occasion, I'll post sketches to my Twitter, but not the full sketch blog. At the $6 level, you get early bird releases, and you get to vote in polls and stuff like that. And again, you get to see some stuff that I just don't post elsewhere because there's just so much junk. I don't want to clog up my public galleries with that. And then at the $9 tier, I'm pretty sure it's still at $9, yeah, you can get the high res and the PSDs of everything, so you can actually see how, everything's constructed, and you can, steal my secrets, as it were.
You can learn.
You can learn. Mm-hmm. And there's a $75 tier that I've just introduced, and it's experimental, but I'm trying to find ways to let people commission me, and not have those commissions take up a whole lot of my time, because I'd really love to be able to focus mainly on this comic.
Gotcha.
And commissions take up a lot of time.
Yeah, especially at higher levels, and so your $75 ones are your sort of your commission slots.
Yeah, and they're wing it commissions mostly, so I have the freedom to kind of experiment and play around with the characters, but I don't have to kind of live up to a very specific vision that the commissioner might have, because that's usually what takes up most of the time, is kind of getting what the commissioner wants.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other big thing you have is your how do you pronounce that again? That it's
Dakimakura.
Yeah. Now, Now, for those of you who don't know, tell me what that is, and what do you have for sale there?
Well, Dakimakura are they come from Japan, and they're like hugging pillows, and some people might think they're strange, but I personally like the concept of them. And I do design them, and I've got a whole lot of them. A lot of them are ponies because that's where like I kind of started out. Like, in fact, the first one I ever did, I'm pretty sure was no, the very first one I ever did was a Renamon, just because I love Renamon. And after that, I kind of did a Princess Luna, kind of as a joke. Because I was like, haha, look at this. I did a Luna Dakimakura. Isn't that funny? And then people went crazy over it. And they were like, are you going to sell it? And I'm like, it was a joke. You're supposed to be laughing.
Okay, what's funny is because I think they actually put that into a recent episode, if I remember correctly.
They put it into I think it was the Rainbow Dash Goes to a Convention one.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the Whiplash one, and I like to think it's because of my Whiplash Dakimakura, but I won't say it is. I'll just say it's one hell of a coincidence.
It is. I was just noticing that. I was like, that's actually pretty close to what was in the show. Yeah.
So, I'm not saying they saw my Daki, but they probably saw my Daki.
And you also have a comic shop and you have an art shop too.
I have a digital download store, and I also have a store on Fur Planet where people can go and they can grab physical copies of books, because I know some people are into that. And yeah.
Awesome. But you don't do straight commissions pretty much anymore, do you?
On occasion, I'll do a your character here, and I will also do, the little commissioner slots on my Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about doing blind auctions for commissions. I don't know about that. Meh. But yeah, mostly it's your character here's.
And where would people find the information for if you are planning on doing that?
Oh, the blind auctions? I would just say to keep an eye on my FA and on my Twitter. Because,
okay.
Yeah, I'll announce it there.
Okay. Just trying to give everybody where you can find all this stuff at. And, of course, you can find all the links to these in the description below.
Mm-hmm.
And now, are you ready? Oh, you have something else?
Oh, well, I remember you had said you might have wanted to ask me about tips and tricks for, like, people trying to get into this stuff.
Usually I would, but we got so... I was so interested in your story about your Waystone.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe for next time, if you want to come back on the show for something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Awesome.
I'd be okay with that.
But let's see. Yeah, are you ready for the final 10 questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
fire away.
Off. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Oh, jeez. That is tough. That is really, really hard. Holy crap. I guess freedom? I like freedom. I like I know it sounds like America.
I was just about to say that. I was like, are you going America on us?
I went George W. on you for a minute. But, I mean, no, genuinely, freedom is one of my favorite words because I like having the freedom to go and to basically do whatever I want. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do for a living. It gives me a measure of freedom that a 9-to-5 just doesn't afford. So, yeah, freedom's good.
I can understand that. What is your least favorite word?
That is another tough one. I don't know. I actually don't know. I can't even make anything up off the back of my head.
A lot of people like to say moist.
Oh, jeez, moist. No, I don't even know. I guess so. I don't know.
Okay, we'll just move on then.
Mm-hmm.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? In other words, what inspires you?
What inspires me? I guess it would be the hope that things can get better. I guess hope, maybe.
That's always a good thing to be inspired by.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any muses per se, but yeah, I hope things will get better, and that's why I keep going, and that's why I wake up every morning. You know,
hope for a better tomorrow.
Hope for a better tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I figured out my least favorite word.
What?
It's taxes. Yeah, I hate that.
Yep.
Death
and taxes.
Suck. Death and taxes.
Yep. What turns you off?
What turns me off?
Yeah, what disinspires you?
What demotivates me?
Yeah.
Taxes.
I can understand that too.
Yeah.
Here is a fun one. What is your favorite curse word?
Merde.
What?
Merde.
What is that?
It's French for shit.
Why is that your favorite one?
Because it's a foreign language, and it sounds cool. I like it.
Okay.
I got it from my roommate. He curses in foreign languages, and I'm like, that's awesome. I'm going to use it.
Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
What noise do I like?
Sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I like? Well, I like music. I mean, I like the sound of, like, you know, those wooden guitar things, like a Spanish guitar, I think it is.
Yeah, what are they?
I don't know what they're actually called, but they're wooden, and they're from Spain, and they just have this... They have this nice, warm... They're unlike any other guitar. And, you know, you hear buskers in the subway, and, you know, they'll have them. And I just love the way they sound, and I'd love to learn how to play one, but I'm too lazy or I'm too chicken.
What is it? Is it M something or a flamenco guitar?
I suppose so.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I don't remember what. It's probably going to come to us later on, but okay.
Yeah, I love all string instruments, guitars, and violins. They're all great. The only string instrument that I'm not as fond of is the banjo. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just don't like the sound it makes, really.
Mm-hmm. What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, geez. When people are eating and they smack, like they don't close their mouths. Yeah, that gets on my nerves.
I agree. The don't chew with your mouth full thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you can chew with your mouth full as long as you keep your mouth closed. Okay, so I don't hear it. Also, whistling. I don't really like it when people whistle. I mean, you know, if someone's whistling happily, I won't bother them, but if I'm trying to work and someone around me is whistling, I'll be like, could you please stop that?
I can get that. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I mean, like I said before, I mean, I've sat here and I've really thought about it, and it's hard. I mean, I've sometimes thought about being a politician, to be perfectly honest. And I know that sounds really strange, but I'm very political. And it's a good thing you didn't touch politics, because we'd be here all night.
I try to keep this show politic-free. I have my own politics, and I'm happy to talk about them off-show, but at the same time...
But not on show.
Well, if it's very important to the episode, I can understand that, but politics can be very...
time-consuming.
Time-consuming. It can also be very... It can be divisive, too.
Yeah, it can get heated very quickly.
Oh, very much so. And this is about showing who's the artist or writer behind the art that everyone likes. And I just think it's so fascinating to find that. I mean, so these people draw porn. What are they like in real life? And you find out that these aren't like basement dwellers. These aren't like your stereotypical like nerds or something. These are normal men and women who have very vast and unique histories. I mean, like you said, you've been in the army. You were a police officer. I mean,
yep.
I love hearing these stories.
I mean, I would like to think that, honestly, like, you know, that old stereotype of, you know, the basement dwelling furry, it's I mean, for some people it's true, and you can find them, but you usually have to look pretty hard. I mean, I've only met like a couple of people that are actually like that, and I've been a part of this fandom since, I mean, well, a long time, okay?
We'll just say a long time.
A long time, geez. I mean, I guess I really got into it like back in 2004 or 2005.
That's when I got into it.
Yeah, there we go.
Back when Fur Affinity really started taking off, and...
Yeah, I think that's when a lot of people kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I was into it before, at least as a browser, but... Okay. What profession would you not like to do?
Well, I'd love to not have to go back and be a cop. That would be nice.
Ooh, was it that bad?
I mean, it's not... It's something you only want to do for a limited amount of time. I mean, it's something that I think, you know, if you're capable of doing it, you should try it for a few years. It changes your perspective on people, and it helps you to deal with people better. Because nothing teaches you how to deal with people better than dealing with someone at their worst.
It takes a special type of person.
it takes a special kind of person, and also it teaches you how to deal with people when they're angry or when they're pissed off, because no one ever wants to see a cop. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
Okay, you are not the most welcome person in the room.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's just dealing with that constant, I don't want you here, but I understand you have to be here. That just, you know, it makes you better dealing with people.
Or if people do want you here, it's not for a happy reason.
It's for a happy reason, exactly. So I do think that people should try it, you know, just for a while, you know. And if anything, you know, it'll help you to help out your community. It'll help you to understand what's happening in your community and why things are happening, you know.
Well,
but that's a whole nother rabbit hole I could go down.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
But we've got one more question, and that is thus. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done, my good and faithful servant.
Ah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. I appreciate it, and I enjoyed myself.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll have you again sometime. Maybe we can do a live show. I've done a few of those. So, yeah. But once again, everyone, make sure to check out the links below. Check out his Patreon, of course. His, oh my god, I can't pronounce that word again.
Oh, geez, Daki Makura?
Daki Makura, oh my god. My
you
pronunciation has always been horrible. But check that out. Check out his bookstore and check out his digital store. And if you want, do check out my own Patreon. Throw a few bucks my way. It does help out the show. And I am in the process of creating a new show. Hopefully maybe once or twice a month I'm going to be doing, in addition to the regular Sunday edition of Panda Paws, I'm going to be doing a review show. Or possibly I'm going to be doing some gaming. I haven't made anything clear yet. We'll see what's happening. But yeah, once again, thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time on Panda Paws.